Treed on an Ash Hopper by S.C. Turnbow. An amazing account of an adventure with wolves was related to me by W.A. Collis, a former pioneer resident of Baxter County, Arkansas. He said, "I have often heard of settlers climbing trees from wolves, but I have never known of but one man being treed on his wife's ash hopper by wolves. Really, I do not know this, but it is all too well authenticated to be disputed," said Mr. Collis. A man by the name of Ben Peacock lived at the head of Bruce's Creek, which empties into the White River above Old Talbert's Ferry. Now, one night after the family had retired to bed, they heard the tingle of the sheep bell coming in hearing distance. The sheep were on a run toward the house. It was easily guessed what was pushing the flock along so fast. These sheep were the only dependents for he and his wife and children's winter's clothes. Now Mr. Peacock bounced out of bed, ran out of the house in his nightclothes to protect the sheep by driving the wolves away. The man owned a few dogs, but they were gone that night out in the forest. But they were not entirely out of hearing distance. Peacock, when he got out of the yard, ran across the front of the yard, leapt over the fence into the wood yard, where he met the sheep with several saucy wolves in pursuit of them. He made an effort to frighten the wolves away, but they were anxious for a bait of mutton and refused to be driven off, and part of them left the sheep at once and darted at the man, who turned and leapt back over the yard fence into the yard, closely pursued by the wolves. The terrified man, barefooted, tried to reach the door of his house, but the wolves cut him off at his domicile, and as the last resort he sprang up on the ash hopper. The scene in the dooryard and the wood yard in the night was a lively and stirring one indeed. The man yelled with all of his might for the dogs. His wife was screaming in the house, and the wolves at the ash hopper where they had treed Peacock were whining and growling and trying to get thoroughly at the scared man, but he was kicking them back with his bare feet. The wolves on the outside of the yard fence were keeping up a disturbance among the sheep and slaying some of them. Things were desperate. It seemed that almost everything had turned into the shape of wolves. The loud hallooing of the discomforted man brought the dogs, which came bounding over the fence and engaged the wolves around the ash hopper. The dark scene in the yard now assumed a different form. The brave dogs routed the wolves out of the yard by making them retreat over the fence, and Mr. Peacock lit off the ash hopper and hurried into the house. The yard was cleared, and all the wolves left the dead sheep and scampered away. The interference of the dogs was timely, and Ben and his wife and the remaining sheep were left in peace.